And now I will admit everybody.
Okay, thanks, Amanda. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us at our water cooler chat today. We are here today with Aptar CSP, Tommy Genetski. Thank you for joining us. We're also here with Justin Schroeder, PCI's VP Global Program Management, who has been here for 20 years. So if you ever want to know any trivia about PCI, Justin is the one that you want to reach out to. Tommy has been willing to partner with PCI, so thank you for tolerating us.
Been a great partner.
So before we get started, everyone, just a few logistical items. If you do have questions throughout this water cooler chat, please find your way to the chat function on Teams. If for some reason you are unable to submit a question via chat, you can always send me a text, iMessage, or WhatsApp to my cell phone at country code 1, area code 619-613-0808. So today we're going to talk about a technology that we're extremely excited about. It's a technology that will help you extend your shelf life while still using blister packaging. As you know, blister packaging is one of the most popular ways to package drugs for clinical trials. The issue there has been, how do you control moisture and oxygen? And Tommy and Justin have been working together to find a really exciting new technology that may help you extend your shelf life. So with that, Justin, I'd like to turn it over to you.
Absolutely. Well, hello, everyone. I'm Justin Schroeder. As Marissa indicated, I'm the VP of Global Program Management for PCI. I've been with PCI 20 years in various capacities, including package development, project management, etc. And was able to get my first post-COVID haircut yesterday. So I'm all ready for today, and I have my water. So stay hydrated. Yeah, we've been fortunate to work with the Aptar CSP team. We got introduced about 2 years ago on this journey, and they kind of gave us an overview of the vision that they had and the technology that they wanted to bring to market, and we're looking for a partner to help kind of bring that to market. And we were certainly very impressed. Could see how transformative this technology can be for the industry and for bringing life-saving medicines to patients around the world. As we look at our market, a few trends that are very pertinent. We do support a lot of product launches by virtue of PCI being that trusted partner. We are very deep in clinical trial activity as well. So we really see the various sequences of a molecule being developed and certainly being expedited to market. The pressure on the market in terms of trying to deliver these medicines to patients more quickly, really condensing the clinical trial activity and the whole R&D pipeline development space has really put a lot of pressure on formulation.
Sounds good, Wes. I appreciate it.
And certainly a lot of the medicines that are being brought to market now don't have as much time, historically speaking, for formulation as they once did. And so what we see then is more sensitive medicines coming to market, and packaging really trying to pick up the gap there in terms of the formulation to help to bridge to be able to get it to commercialization. So that's instability gap is really being leveraged with specialty films. It's being done with potentially nitrogen flushing at the packaging operation, or some molecules, frankly, are just relegated to bottles, traditional bottles, because they can't get over the hump with unit dose packaging and being able to keep it shelf stable in that regard. And so again, that's where we see a lot of activity and a lot of interest in technologies like these to be able to get that into the optimal package. Likewise, in certain categories, particularly oncology, we see an increasing desire from pharmaceutical clients to be able to provide medication in calendarized unit dose packaging, to support patient adherence and certainly support patient centricity. to provide a better health outcome to patients. And so there is a strong industry desire to do that and really provide the best thing for the patient. So ultimately, what we see is for those sensitive medicines that are having a lot of difficulty achieving their shelf stability and unit dose packaging, we go to some extraordinary measures to be able to get those to market. Some of the things that I described, and often at times that can be very costly as well. These are high value medicines and certainly very specialized. And so we want to make sure we put our best foot forward in bringing those to market. So that's kind of the backdrop for our conversation with the Aptar CSP team. And very excited to introduce you to Tommy this morning and have Tommy explain a little bit about the technology.
Yeah,
Tommy,
thanks, Justin. Yeah, thank you, Justin. My name is Tommy Genetski. I'm Associate Director of Key Accounts here at Aptar CSP. I've been with the company almost 11 years. So seen us from kind of the very beginning when we were a smaller company up until we were acquired by Aptar a couple years ago. I've also worked with PCI since the beginning of our Activ-Blister partnership. It's been a very exciting partnership. I've learned a lot, have met most of the team in Rockford, and have really enjoyed watching this program develop all the way on the clinical side as the commercial side. So now that we have a commercialized product and we have something that is proven to work, it's exciting to see all the pharmaceutical companies that truly need the protection that we can offer, we're able to give it to them. So having a partner like PCI, someone well reputable in the packaging industry, has made it easier for us to bridge the gap and become such a good partner and take this program where it is today. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, maybe just to start, can you give us an overview on the Activ-Blister technology and how it works?
So
yes.
Just before we start, do we want to show the video to the audience first? Okay, 1 second, everyone. We're going to show a video that will give an overview of the Activ-Blister technology.
Activ-Blister Solutions are the next step in blister packaging technology. Activ-Blister Solutions control the internal atmosphere of existing individual blister cavities, allowing for improved product performance and enhanced shelf life. Not only can these outfitted blisters absorb tailored amounts of water, oxygen, or combination thereof, but they can be custom fitted to any size and shape capsule. Activ-Blister is applied to the foil using heat stain. Then the foil, complete with newly applied Activ-Blister, seamlessly inlines with the thermoform. This infinitely repeatable process ensures high quality and reliability for your product. The Activ-Blister solution can be added to pre-existing blister packaging without the cost and residual solvents of adhesives. That means you can improve the quality of your product by integrating into your current or new manufacturing processes while using existing packaging materials. From high barrier films to cold form foils, from push-through blisters to peel-push blisters. Take your product to the next level and be a part of the blister packaging revolution.
All right, back to you. Okay, Tommy and Justin, back over to you.
Yeah, sure. I'll be happy to give an overview now that everybody's seen the video. So what Activ-Blister is at a high level is a way of extending the shelf life of a drug that needs the moisture and or oxygen protection that API needs. We're able to transform what we call our active polymer technology. We're able to extrude it into a flexible film that is then converted into a oval like you see on the screen, or a rectangle or any shape that is then adhered to the lidding foil of a blister. And we're able to do that not only in thermoform, but we're also able to do that in cold form blistering. So the unique thing about Activ-Blister is that It's able to really dial in and protect each individual drug, capsule, tablet, caplet, whatever it may be. So we're able to manage the headspace in each individual cavity of that blister, something that's unachievable using another method. So we're really able to make sure that every single capsule is protected, whether you're using a thermoform or a cold form blister.
That's fantastic and exciting that you guys can control both the moisture and certainly oxygen or other gases. How does Activ-Blister compare to some of the current solutions that are out on the market for both moisture as well as humidity control?
Yeah, good question. So, as many of you know on the call today, bottles are a way of protecting a drug. So, a lot of bottles utilize a sachet or canister, whether that's a desiccant or an oxygen scavenger. I'm sure when you've dumped out your pills from a prescription before, you've seen that sachet or canister. Well, we're taking that to another level. We're able to use our technology, which has 50 plus different formulations, where we can control the kinetics of the formulation. So we're able to pull moisture or oxygen from the headspace of that individual cavity at the control we want. So we can pull the moisture rapidly, or we can pull it at a slow rate, depending on what that API needs. And over the years, when we've seen different drugs brought to us, different therapeutic areas, we've learned that some drugs need moisture pulled quick, some need it pulled slow, some need both oxygen and moisture pulled. So we're able to really define how much we want to pull down and at what rate. So it's a really customized solution compared to an off-the-shelf sachet or canister that's available on the market easily.
Sounds like some amazing science you guys are bringing to bear. I think I heard earlier that you guys have commercialized a product already.
We have, yes. So it was really exciting. In January of this year, we launched our first commercial product. It was really neat to see the development of that product. So this particular pharmaceutical company came to us with a serious moisture issue. It degraded their product rather quickly, and they were not getting the protection that they needed with other packaging components. And their last resort was Activ-Blister. And through clinical studies at PCI, all the way up through submission to FDA approval utilizing PCI, we were able to get that customer to market.
That's fantastic.
So,
and Marissa, I think we might have an image of that.
Yep, we sure do. So while I show that picture, Tommy, we actually have a question from the audience. What material is in direct contact with the product? And are there any concerns of leachables or extractables?
It's a good question, Simon. So our active polymer technology uses primarily a base polymer, whether that's polyethylene or polypropylene. And we have done a lot of regulatory work to determine, what leachables and extractables are of concern. And we, in our drug master file, as well as other documentation that we've been able to generate, have created compliance statements that address that particular concern that is available to potential customers through one-on-one contact.
All right. Tommy, can you describe the process by which you get drug product into the blister packs?
Yeah, sure. So I think the illustration on the screen that everybody sees is a good way of putting it all into perspective. So the rendering on the left is a good way that shows our material, which would be the tan ovals that are below the capsules. And the way that it works is we manufacture that product, the active polymer, Activ-Blister material, in Auburn, Alabama, in the U.S. It is manufactured into a roll or reel format. If you could picture a film reel, for example. And those reels or rolls are then shipped directly to the CMO, and in this case, PCI. And PCI is able to manually load them onto their automation, which is, we call it an FAM, a film applicator module. And that module is designed and developed so that it can be added onto existing packaging lines and blistering lines. So PCI has the ability to not only package clinical product, but commercial product as well. So they have two different machines that can handle clinical scale and as well as commercial scale. And once that that reel is put onto the module, it's then unwound and cut into little shapes that are then heat staked, as you saw from the live video that was shown at the beginning of the water cooler chat. It's heat staked onto the lidding foil right before the thermoform or cold form mates to the lidding foil, so that each individual capsule has the Activ-Blister technology underneath it.
Thank you for that. Another question we had, so where do you see this technology being most applicable in the drug development cycle?
Another good question. So a lot of people or a lot of companies have come to us with moisture or oxygen or other gas issues later in the game than they probably intended. They've noticed that they get degradation after conducting a stability study and realize that time is of essence. So the nice thing about Activ-Blister Solutions is that not only can we help a customer from the very beginning, proof of concept stage, but all the way to a commercialized product. So if someone wants to move from bottles to blisters and it's already on the market, we can do that rather quickly. At the same time, we can offer a service which we call Accelerate, where we're really dialed in on helping a customer from the very beginning of their program, as early as phase 1, all the way through commercialization, helping them with regulatory, legal, different hurdles that are needed along the way that we have expertise to be able to get them to market.
Great, thank you. Marissa, I think we may have some other questions.
Sorry, just working to get myself off mute there. Yeah, we actually have a few more questions from the audience. So Simon is asking, what is the rough estimated unit cost increase percentage from a typical Aclar foil blister?
Yeah, Aclar foil blister. So Simon, that's a good question. It's tough to answer easily. So our Activ-Blister solution is protecting drugs that are truly too sensitive to moisture or oxygen to be able to only use something like an Aclar. So we work one-on-one with customers to come up with a customized solution. One Activ-Blister for a certain customer will be completely different than an Activ-Blister from another customer. So it's not an off-the-shelf product. It's not a catalog product. It's something where our engineering team is directly involved, doing a deep dive into, what is that moisture ingress through the blister, what formulation is needed from Aptar CSP, and what other packaging components are needed, what thermoform or what cold form, and what's the best lidding foil to use as well. So we really do a deep dive into what the best packaging components are to get that protection that the drug ultimately needs. So we view it as a per case basis. So to be able to answer that is a little difficult. But we work one-on-one with the customer and with PCI to come up with whatever that unit cost might be.
And Tommy, if I'm hearing you correctly, I think you're indicating that it is a complementary solution in that regard as well. So it may partner with a high barrier film to provide that protection.
Exactly. Yeah, we've learned that there are certain, high barrier films that will, added with Activ-Blister, can get additional years of shelf life if needed. So it's really an upgraded solution that can really make a customer feel comfortable that they're going to get the protection that they truly need.
Great, thank you.
And then another question we have, what kind of timing goes into developing something like this for a clinical study?
Yeah, good question. So aside from the PCI development side, we typically like to give our engineering and applications development team a couple months at the beginning of the process. We do a deep, moisture budget dive where we're trying to determine the exact size, the exact formulation of Activ-Blister, so that the product gets stability. So I would say, depending on where the drug is in the development cycle, it can be something where PCI could set up samples to be tested with our Activ-Blister material within a couple months.
And then we have another question. We heard that the active polymer base is either PP or PE. How does that work regarding to heat state with the standard PVC, PVAC heat seal coatings?
Excellent question, John. Good to see you. So we've actually done some work over the years to determine which lidding foils are stake best with our polypropylene and polyethylene formulations. I don't know the exact ones off the top of my head, but it's definitely something where we have a table that we've generated that we're able to share with potential customers that show which bases adhere best to our material. So it's definitely something that we can share with you after the water cooler chat.
Okay, wonderful. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any more questions, please feel free to put them into chat. Other than that, for now, I'd love to tell you what we have planned for the next water coolers. So, if I can get my PowerPoint to cooperate here. So next week, we will be looking at cell and gene therapy supply strategies, looking at how we ensure that nothing falls through the cracks because those are expensive materials. Ed Grollo, who is the lead of our Smart Services, and QuickStat Scott Ohanesian will be joining us to talk about best practices with cell and gene therapy supply solutions. The week after that, Mark Shapansky, who has been helping small companies for over a decade, now, with their clinical trials, he's going to be talking about what are some clinical supply solutions for small companies who may be a little bit tight on resources and time. Following that, on June 25th, Rich Nelson, our Senior Manager of Global Logistics, he will be looking at clinical materials evaluation and HTS coding for clinical materials and how that is used in the US, what implications it has for shipping into the US. On July 9th, so 2 weeks after that, after we have all celebrated July 4th, Gavin Morgan, our Senior Manager of Global Logistics, will be back talking about the same topic, but from an EU perspective. So what is the impact of clinical materials valuation in the UK and in the EU, and what do you need to keep in mind when you consider your clinical materials valuation? If you are interested in any of these water cooler chats, please go to pciservices.com/water, and you can register for all of these chats there. I did see another question come in. So Tommy, John Malloy is asking, it seems like a sizable waste matrix is generated in the die cutting. What happens to that material?
Yeah, that's a really good question, John. So I think that the video and the illustration that you see maybe illustrates more waste than truly you see during the commercialization of the product. So for the particular illustration you saw, the oval die cutting does leave a web of wasted material. If the customer does want to use ovals, like you saw in the illustration, we try to customize our roll and the die that cuts it so that there is the minimal waste as possible. Now, on a positive note, if the customer wants a rectangle shaped Activ-Blister, which we've noticed is more common, believe it or not, than the oval, then there's no waste. So we are actually cutting lanes into rectangles, which are then heat staked, and there is zero waste. So if the customer can have a rectangular active blister in their blister, then there's going to be zero waste.
Okay. What is the number of months expiry for the first launched product? I'm assuming that's going to be custom, but do you have an idea of what is the number of months for expiration for the first launched product?
Yeah, so obviously all of our material comes with a certificate of analysis from internal moisture capacity testing that we do, as well as dimensional verification. But our moisture absorbing films typically have a 1-year shelf life. We are able to recertify them if the product is not used in the first year. We know that it from testing that we've internally done that it achieves much more than a year, but for a certificate point of view, we list it as a 1-year shelf life. We do have the ability to extend that. So for some customized formulations, it will be more than a year. So for real-time data where you're asking if there's 3 or 4 years for any products, product-wise, not that I know of. Internal testing wise, I know that we've been able to hold our moisture capacity minimums for almost up to 8 years for certain formulations. So we are able to achieve a much higher shelf life than an off-the-shelf product.
Yeah, and I think maybe if I'm interpreting that question correctly, they were wondering about the shelf life of that first commercialized product.
I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I think that was a situation. Well, I'm confident it was a situation where that product actually wouldn't have made it to market in a unit dose package if it weren't for the Aptar CSP solution. So it actually did have multiple years of shelf life.
Yeah, and then we also have another question. If the material, sorry, this keeps scrolling here. If the material is absorbing moisture, how does the moisture absorbing material keep the moisture away from the capsule or tablet that sits on top of it?
So, so that's a good question. So if I'm understanding the question correctly, our active polymer technology it works in a way, and I wish I could share my screen, but it works in a way where it utilizes the entire area of the film volume-wise. So it's not just a surface area effect. So the side that is covered by the lidding foil and even the side that is covered by the capsule is still scavenging moisture or oxygen through the sides and through the areas that can capture the moisture. And it's still in effect, it still in effect has the same total moisture capacity that it would if it was completely exposed and nothing was in contact with it. I have some slides that I can share after the water cooler chat that goes more into depth about the technology of active polymer, and that'll kind of give a good illustration of how our technology is different than, say, a sachet or canister.
Okay. How do you assure that absorption capacity of the material is not alterated during packaging production when it is exposed to RH of the packaging room?
Yeah, excellent question. So we've done deep analysis into exposure of our material, whether it's in a controlled room or an uncontrolled room. So we have several different graphs that we share with our customers, which is part of the development cycle, that shows, okay, if your conditions in your manufacturing facility are XRH, X temperature, then we would recommend the active blister material to be a certain length, because we want to make sure you utilize during one shift an entire amount of material. And if not, we know that it can be easily resealed in a foil bag, whether it's the foil bag that it was packaged in down at Aptar, or a foil bag that the CMO like PCI might have in-house. That could seal it back. So we do a deep dive to make sure that exposure during manufacturing does not affect the product.
Okay.
And Tommy, I think you've communicated to me in the past that in a situation like that, the active blister technology is kind of a steady absorption rather than a quick absorption. which also benefits you in that packaging operation?
No, it does definitely, and we also know that in a roll format, the inside of that roll is absorbing little to no moisture. So it's really only that outside roll that typically is discarded at the beginning of the blistering process. But I can say from my years of experience at CSP that it's as little as less than a 1% loss of moisture capacity during the setup, during the processing. And we also factor that in when we're designing our product. So we might make our active blister have more moisture capacity than is needed because we need to take into account certain things like exposure.
Okay, so we have one last question. Did the FDA have any questions on the CMC section of the NDA? Does Aptar participate in FDA responses for the client?
That's a good question. I do not know the answer to that. Justin, do you have any knowledge on?
Yeah, I'm not aware of any particular scrutiny or any particular line of questioning that was associated with the NDA of that product.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Justin and Tommy. We have a lot of interest in this product. So everyone, for those who have joined us, we will be sending out a survey where if you are interested in learning more about it, if you can just say that yes, you would like to be contacted, and we can definitely dive deeper into this technology. I'm sure, Tommy, you'd be happy to talk about this technology with us. So I know there's a lot of interest. We are out of time, but thank you, everyone, for joining us. If you want to join us at a future water cooler chat, it's pciservices.com/water, and we will be in touch soon. Have a great morning or afternoon.
Thanks,
Bye,
Marissa.
everyone.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.